Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Today, I'd like to take you on a little bit of a journey back in time to the court of Queen Elizabeth I. Imagine the grandeur of that Elizabethan era, a time of exploration, of cultural flourishing, of cultural diplomacy as well. When Queen Elizabeth I wanted to establish a peace and to strengthen an alliance with other nations, what did she do? She actually sent out ambassadors. She sent out ambassadors ahead of her, representing her and wanting to carry gifts and messages of goodwill and tokens of peace to those people that she was going to visit. These ambassadors would spend weeks, if not months, building relationships. They would attend all of the banquets so that they could communicate that the Queen was coming and ensure that by the time the Queen arrived, the foreign courts were ready to welcome her with open arms. One of the readings this week had something to do with this sort of custom of being ambassadors. Put your hand up if you read your lectionary readings this week? 4 of you. Wow. I'd encourage you. I email everybody the lectionary readings every week. I'd encourage you to read them. It takes approximately 10 minutes to read through them. It's not much. And you'll actually be preparing yourself for the sermon. You'll have the background of the sermon on a Sunday morning. One of the readings of this week relates to this sending out the ambassadors. It was at a time when Jesus was transitioning from his public ministry to a time when he was going to be training his disciples. He had a vision in mind, didn't he? And not just 12 disciples. How many disciples did he send out? 72. 72. Some other Gospels say 70, some say 72. It was a 6-month period at the start of winter that this happened, in the year AD 29. We know the facts. We know when it happened. So in the summer, he went around talking to people. In the winter, he thought, guys, it's time to prepare. I'm going to prepare you. It was the 6 months. Well, we know that when we celebrate communion was celebrated or that was started on the night before a very, very hard time for Jesus. This happened 6 months before, when he was starting to set his gaze towards Jerusalem. He wanted to teach them some things, to know how he did the things that he did. He wanted to teach them his ways during that period of time. And he also wanted to teach them how to build the church. The church that is established and has been established for the last 2,000 years. He wanted to set them on the right path before his death, resurrection. In Luke 10, we can now read that Jesus sent out his 72 like ambassadors. He sent them ahead of him, and he was actually preparing them to go out into the towns, into the villages. And he wanted to actually prepare the towns for when he came into those towns. Even though Jesus continued to teach the crowds, he was actually focusing on showing his disciples how they were to minister in his name. Rather than him doing the job, he was getting them to start doing the job. So what did he do? How did he teach? What can we learn about what happened in those days? The first 3 verses of this week's Bible verse talks about that. It's actually in Luke 10, verse 1. After this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them. How did he send them? 2 by 2. He sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. It was about a year ago that I asked many of you to form 2 by 2s and to actually go out, to pray for each other, to encourage each other, to help each other in evangelism. This is what Jesus did, sent them out. He told them, the harvest is plentiful, but the labourers are few. Actually, let's go back one. He told them the harvest were plentiful, but the labourers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into the harvest field. Go, I am sending you, he said, like lambs amongst the wolves. Jesus knew that there would be some trials. He knew that they would encounter obstacles, opposition of all different sorts. Can anybody tell me what the result of these 72 going out was? What was the result?
They came back rejoicing.
What? They came back rejoicing? Let's read what it says. The 72 returned with joy and said, Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name. Wow. What happened here? They went out, they took a step of faith, they did what they knew they were supposed to do. When I read this, it straight away reminded me of 3 other times in scriptures where people had to step out first before something happened. Joshua, can you remember Joshua and the priests? Here they were carrying the ark, and there was the river Jordan. And they thought, what are we going to do here? God told Joshua, set them out into the water and see what I'm going to do. So the priests put their feet in the water and started walking, and what happened? It was only then that the water started to lower. What can we learn from that? Then there was Elijah and the woman of Zarephath. What happened there? Elijah went in and said to the woman, make me some food. So she obeyed. She thought, I haven't got much left, but hey, I'll do what I've been told. I'll obey. I'll step out in faith. So she made it and gave it to the prophet. What happened after she stepped out in faith? There was, what? The jar's not empty? Let's do this again. There's something happened here. She did it again and again and again. And during that whole time of famine, there was always something there. And then in Jesus' time, Jesus called upon a man with a withering hand. What did Jesus say to this man?
Stretch out.
Stretch out your hand. Do something. Show that you have a little bit of faith. Show me. And what happened? He thought, okay, I'll see what happens. He stretched out his hand and Jesus restored that hand. Each of these were challenged to step out in faith and to see what God would do. This time last year, as I said, I told you to form twos and to step out in faith. I actually have heard some reports and I've seen some things that some of you have done. I know of Jorfi and Karina talking to their exercise group. Sometimes they end up hearing story after story of their individuals' religious experiences. The ups and the downs, the excuses, the many excuses they've had, and their religious stories. But they have taken they've taken the opportunity to go and have a cuppa with these ladies and share what they can. Share life, share testimonies, and share what they can about who Jesus is for them. They did it. They've been doing it. Angela, who do you sometimes go walking with? Is it Karina or is it Phil?
No, I walk with my sister.
With your sister? Okay. Walking with people and seeing who you encounter on your journeys and sharing that, hey, isn't God's creation wonderful? Going out and actually doing it. Now, Sam and Jeff take the opportunity roughly once a month to go out and have a cuppa and go out and kick the tyres in the car yards with some of their friends. Now, Rocco, he's not a Christian, is he?
Rocco?
Yeah.
Rocco is a Catholic.
He's a Catholic?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're not thinking of Peter.
No, nothing. Because I know Peter's just, they go out and they encourage these two guys in their faith. They look for opportunities and they're looking for more opportunities. Sam says, pray for these guys. They really need to come to a personal relationship with Jesus. So here's two guys in their friendship, going out and wanting these two guys to have a closer walk with Christ, a closer walk with Him. And then there's Mike and Vita. Mike and Vita have been challenging each other in their faith recently.
Is that what it's called?
They go deep in theology. And I'm expecting that they might even think, hey, how can we encourage each other in the faith and in our evangelism to go out? I know Mike sometimes has rough edges in the way he challenges people, but he certainly takes advantage of every opportunity to tell people about Jesus. Go for it, guys. Go for it. These people are seeing the advantages in going out 2 by 2. They know that one person alone is a lonely experience. 2 people together, 2 mates, 2 buddies, able to go out and actually do things together. There's a special dynamic there. Jesus knew this dynamic. I was even reflecting on that this morning. I am the shepherd of the flock. And if I was a farmer, I would want to see my 2 by 2s going out and multiplying, wouldn't I? I would encourage that. In the same way, as a shepherd, I want to see you guys get together 2 by 2 and going out and multiplying in faith. I want to see this congregation grow and grow and grow naturally. I want to see the relationships that you have, that you're able to share with others, be a great source of joy. I want to hear reports of you going out and putting this sort of thing into practice, just like Jesus sent his 72 out. And to hear them come back and to hear them telling stories, telling wonderful testimonies. I want to hear that. I want to hear testimonies of your successes and your failures. I want to hear you say, hey, we tried this and that didn't work. You know why? Because at least it's a sign that you're trying, you're experimenting, you're being adventurous. And God will reward even those times. Even those times of hardship. Just like ambassadors of old, we are sent out. Oh, that's right. Look, here's a picture of a photo that I took back in the day. Not really. And here's the woman making those things. And here's Jesus healing that guy's hands. I know that each of you can bless. Do you remember we went through this? Mm-hmm. How many of you can pray? Put your hand up if you can pray for your non-Christian friends. How many of you can listen to them? Sometimes that's all you can do, because they just talk and talk and talk and talk. That's okay. Eventually that will run out. We hope. We can pray. But you can eat. You can take advantage. You can take them out for a cuppa. And they can think, you are actually a more than an acquaintance to me. You want to be friendly to me. And you can serve. You can do these things. Jesus served us, so why can't we go out and serve others? And that sharing your story. As I said, it might take days, it might take weeks, it might take months, it might even take a year before someone will think, yes, I trust you. I trust you enough to believe what you're saying about this relationship, this supernatural relationship that you have with Jesus. We too are sent out to prepare the way for Jesus. Our mission is not to replace him, but to be there to introduce people to him, to help others become ready to receive Jesus. If the only rumours they know about Christians are the ones that they hear on the media, that's not good. But if you are an example of a Christian that they think, yeah, I do know a Christian that really lives out their faith, that in the good times and the bad times, they're not plastic Christians. They'll say, I'm having it tough, but I'm still gonna do it with Jesus. People that show that their resilience is true and legitimate. You will leave a good taste in their mouth, so that when you talk to them about Christ, they will think, actually, I can't trust anybody else, but I can trust you when you say these things. for them to be ready to receive with open hearts. We do this by living out Jesus' teachings, by sharing his love, and by being a reflection of his grace in this world, by being forgiving, by overcoming obstacles that are even hard. You see, it's all about learning to trust God's provision in life. When Jesus sent out the 72, he told them, take nothing on the journey. Do you remember that? When we take nothing with us, we have to step out in faith. Don't take a purse. Trust God with your finances. Don't take a bag. Trust God with your resources. Don't take sandals. Just go out and know that he's going to provide for you day after day after day. When things wear out, he's going to be there with you. I remember watching a movie, and it was about these two swimmers. And there were two brothers, they were going out swimming. And one brother said to the other, look, how come you're not as fit as me, but you can outdo me? You keep on going. You just keep on going. How can you keep on going when we have these races to see who can go out the furthest? And one brother said to the other, well, when you go out holding back enough to come back again. When I go out, I don't hold back. And I thought, wow. You're going out and thinking, I've got to make sure that it's safe. If you go out and make sure that it's safe, you're not really stepping out in faith. You're stepping out in knowledge of your resources. That's not stepping out in faith. Faith is believing in things that you don't understand. It's giving even when you don't have enough to live on. It's giving even when you don't understand. That's faith. We are to learn to trust. They relied entirely on God's provision in their time. When we step out in faith as ambassadors for Christ, we can trust that he will provide for our needs according to his riches in glory. In a way, it's a pity that we have so much, because then we have to think about all the things that we have to lose to follow Jesus. Just remember, it will all be gone in the twinkling of an eye. What's that saying? You can't take it with you. And yet we hold on to it until the day we die. Trust in the one who holds your future, not the things that you've accumulated in the past. Trust in him. Share the peace and healing. The 72 also were given the instructions to go out. To give the instructions to go out in peace and healing. They were to bear the good news. Peace I leave with you. In our lives, we are called to do the same, to bring peace into every interaction that we have. There are so many people that just want revenge, that are nasty, that all they do is talk about the bad things that are happening in the world. If you do that, you know what you can end up producing? Just negativity, sourness. That's not a platform from which you can bound off. If anything, the more you talk about these things, the lower you end up going. And the harder it seems to be able to think, hey, can we overcome the world? We are to be instruments of God's healing in a hurting world. Peace is flowing like a river, flowing out through you and me, flowing out into the desert, setting all the captives free. We are to be the path through which the peace of God travels. And the last point is to rejoice. The disciples were told that they were filled, that when they came back, they were filled with joy over what happened. And what did Jesus respond? Don't be happy that the demons respond to you, but be Be happy that your name is written in the book of life. That's what we're supposed to remember. Their names were written in heaven. Our greatest joy comes from knowing that we belong to a different kingdom. A kingdom that is yet to come. A kingdom that we are establishing. A kingdom that expands as we proclaim the gospel, the good news. That we can have our relationship restored with the one and only God. That we are children of the beloved. And that's where our security comes from. So, when you hear that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, when you hear of the wars and the rumours of wars, the famines, the floods that are going around even today, when you hear of the fact that AI is going to destroy the world, when you hear all of these things, know that your security is not based in this world. Your security is based somewhere else. Breathe, take a deep breath and thinking, boy, I'm glad that this isn't everything. Boy, I'm glad that my citizenship is not here, and that Jesus is coming to restore his kingdom, and he knows how to do it. So as we go out into this week, let's remember that we are ambassadors of a different kingdom. That we go out in Jesus' name ahead of him to proclaim the good news. We are to go like John the Baptist and prepare the way of the Lord. Make his path straight. To share his love in abundance, pressed down, shaken together, running out all over. That we're to trust in his provision. And when people look at us and they think, hey, you're not worried about the economy. You're not worried about this. Why aren't you worried? You can say, I fear not, for God is with me. And rejoice in what he has done and is doing in and through you this week. Remind yourself. Do whatever it takes to remind yourself. And that's why I said get with a partner so that they will remind you when you forget. So I want you again, as I preached this time last year, I want you to choose one person that can help keep you accountable, that can help encourage you, that can help you. Choose someone. Anyone. But please choose someone. And see that your journey will actually be assisted, that will be blessed by having a partner, not in crime, but a partner in Christ.